Okay, hello everybody. Good evening. Um, we are going to start talking about how BCI compliance becomes business enablement. This is a very curricular topic, which have many presence and many areas to enhance because of the culture of people, because they are thinking that BCI are showstopper, are stopping the business. If I go to BCI, I will stop the business. So today we are going to understanding well how BCI being a business enablement, not a showstopper. I am with you, Mohamed Hegazy. I'm Information Security Director CISO with an MDB. I already have a master degree from Arab Academy and Meritium, and already certified SISM and senior ISO 27001 as a lead auditor and lead implementer. I am GRC certified as a professional and auditor and have a certification for implementing BCI as a CPISI. So we are going to start. This is a agenda. I wouldn't go into more detailed topic. Just I would like to ensure that BCI becoming a business enablement, not a showstopper. So this is the mainly agenda that we are going to do. Firstly, we will start by introduction, then understanding the BCI compliance, benefit of BCI compliance, and the strategies, available strategies for achieving BCI compliance. And some tactics about, I would introduce some tactics behind BCI and the available strategies if you would like to have implementing the BCI in very smooth way. So by uh, we will start by BCI Council. This is a BCI Security Standard Council. This is the BCI SSC, and this is formulated from payment scheme. Formulated from payment scheme. These are the main board of this council. Payment scheme are currently Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, and GCB. This is how this council being formulated, and this council are organized together to provide insurance or assurance to protect the cardholder data where it's stored or processed or transmitted or connected to the facility within the facility of the entity itself. So BCI standard is about cardholder data protection, and cardholder data protection. We in this page I would introduce what are the cardholder data and why we are protecting. If you check here that type, these all the available types of cardholder data or the card data element. If you for sure everyone have a credit card within his pocket. So if you open it and check it what are inside this card, you will have the credit card information. Here you will have the scheme or hologram representing the scheme which issued this card. Here you will find the chip which contains the information required for processing transaction either online or offline. And this chip have a more security algorithm which facilitating transaction to be processed offline. Here is the PAN, and this is the 16 digits of credit card information. This PAN is the uniquely identified the card holder name and or the card information. Here you will find the expiry and the expiry date, card holder name, the name of your card. In the left behind the card, the background of the card itself, you will have the magnetic stripe which contains track 1 and track 2 data. You will find the old signature space for adding the signature, but this was an old technique. But according to Visa and Mastercard mandate, they kept to printing the signature panel to facilitate adding a signature here. Besides this signature panel, you will have the CVV or CVV2. All of this information are formulating the card holder data along with the PIN. So all of this information are formulating the card information. For your information, that some of online system or e-commerce system doesn't mandate to have a PIN, the 4 digits for ATM transaction, or having a CVV within the transaction to process the transaction. Transaction can be passed only by PAN and expiry date and cardholder name. This is the real fact why we are taking care about the ban. BCI Security Council mainly added the all of BCI requirement to protect all the ban where the ban is stored, where is the secure element is stored. Because if you have a possibility to obtain a real ban and cardholder name expiry date, you will have for some reason some e-commerce websites facilitate to be- process a transaction using all of these three elements without adding the CVV or ATM pin. So those values combined together is very critical. Having a ban, the 16 digits appealed without any protection is very critical, because those 16 digits can be those 16 digits formulated in the secure way. It's Those 16 digits are already formulated based on Lohono algorithm. This Lohono algorithm to facilitate checking how you will how you can obtain this this PAN is already the real a real card number, not a fake one. Lohono algorithm depend on the last value of credit card number. You will have the 16 digits formulated. The first 6 digits identified the PIN by meaning bank identification number. This is the first 6 digits which identifies a PIN, where this card related to which bank, where it's being issued. So those are the 6 digits which identify where the bank are issued, and PIN table already placed within the scheme or the acquirer to facilitate routing transaction. You will have here for American Express, you will have CID. This is related to American Express cards, but not presented in Mastercard and Visa cards. The chip you will have here the chip. This chip contains the elements which contains as well for track data. Those track data contains besides track data as a magnetic stripe. Those will contain the embossing data related to 16. You will have the 16 digits and expiry and the cardholder name added as a magnetic stripe. This technique will become expired because Visa and Mastercard mandates to work with chip, and newly technology is by NFC tags, which added newly to credit card. So all of this information are added here into the chip. Besides this, this chip, whenever being innovated, this chip brings an attention to have offline of processing transaction. So your balance are added here. Your your PIN already added here to facilitate offline PIN transaction, to facilitate offline PIN processing. So all of these elements are added here within the chip. This chip contains a application. Uh, every chip have its dedicated application, and certifying a credit card have a mini process to being present to facilitate the to facilitate within the acquirer based on the acquirer transaction, which transaction are being fallback to magnetic stripe, and which transaction are mandated to have a magnetic stripe on having a chip, having the chip presence, and facilitate the transaction over the chip. So the most common example here for using the chip, if you are going to supermarket and or any physical store and ask it to purchase transaction and added your card into the point of sale, these transactions are going to inspect the chip, and if the issuer host is not available, so transactions are being processed using the chip information. So your balance already placed here, your PIN already placed here, all the checks required for issuer is already represented by this chip information. So this is the first part, the entry point for why we have cardholder data information and what type of cardholder data information. Next on, we will uh, we will talking about the available PCI standards and which standard are applicable for. So we are currently presenting all the PCI standards available, like PIN security, card production logical, card production physical, and the main that we are going to always knowing about the PCI DSS, 3DS core, SBOC, B2BE, secure software, HSM, BTS PIN, secure life cycle, and TSP for tokenization, BADSS for software, CPOC, and 3DS SDK. So all of these standards are applicable to merchants and service provider or payment processor, bank issuer, acquirer, software vendor, B2BE solution vendor. The main entry point whenever talking about cardholder data within the environment, either those cardholder data being processed or stored or transmitted within the facility, so the main entry level is applying PCI DSS. All of them applying PCI DSS except the software vendor, because software vendor just developing the application and provide to selling it to the entity which will hosting the application to serve a business. So the main entry level is DSSS, PCI DSS, data security standard. Then based on the scope defined within the DSS, you will be advised from scheme either to you have to maintain a PIN, like for example, you will Visa or MasterCard will come back to you and advise that you have to apply PCI PIN security. So what about PCI PIN security? So we obtained from the AOC presented for DSS that you are processing a PIN and receiving PIN either through ATM or point of sale or e-commerce. So you are processing a PIN within your facility, and you have to adhere to PCI PIN security requirement. Those requirements are protecting the PIN during the transmission. All of these standards are focusing about PIN handling and how being handled securely, either within the point of sale or HSM or within the ATM. You will, for the ATM, if you inspect the ATM for the pen pad, this is normal. This is not a normal pen pad. This is a electronic pen pad which have a secure key for protecting the pen value which entered on it. So pen security is about protecting the pen. So if you have within the DSS scope that you are working with sensitive authentication data, sensitive authentication data here, like PIN or CVV, all of these values are very sensitive. Uh, Although that all cardholder data are being protected, but for sensitive authentication data, it's not allowed to being stored. But for some facilities, like facilities which are requesting to have PIN values or the facility which are printing the card itself, which required to have a card production facility or manufacturing for card. So the main business scope are printing cards and or printing bin mailer. So if those two services are presented within the facility or within the entity, so you will have the letter from the scheme that you should have a card production. Card production here, PCI card production, you will have a more dedicated controls for protecting all of this data. You will have a many controls for protecting this data, either for logical or physical requirements to protect all of this data. If you are processing within the environment, CVV, and accepting from e-commerce to present a CVV within the transaction, so you will be obligated to perform a PCI 3D secure. And for PCI 3D secure, I will be represented either you already have a core, because 3D secure is a core is multiple components, and you will be advised which components you are placing into your environment, whether this is the 3DS core or some SDK related to the development, or you will have something like ACS, access authorization system, access control system, for providing an OTP or submitting OTP to the client. This standard applied to, or this standard for protecting the transaction in e-commerce. So whenever you are making any transaction on Amazon or any store, you are prompted to add a CVV. Then CVV, you will obtain a OTP message, SMS received over your mobile, and you will prompt it for a screen to add the OTP which received over your mobile. Whenever you added the OTP, those page is not related to the site itself which you are purchasing from, because this site's already represented from the bank itself and responsible from bank, and this is related to 3DS service. So you will added the PIN OTP message, OTP code, which were received over SMS, to validate the authenticity of you, to ensure that you are the one who made the transaction. So this 3D secure, it's a mechanism added to ensure that, or having a multi-factor authentication over the authentication, to ensure that you are the one who made the transaction now. For SPOC and MPOC or CPOC, for SPOC and CPOC, those are related to the point of sale, which are running software point of contact, or cost-based solution point of contact. So those are related to the point of sale special devices, the point of sale devices, which accept PIN over the screen. In the modern technology now, if you are going to the store, you will have the point of sale accepting by touch, not for the normal PIN pad. You are touching over the screen. So SPOC and CPOC are managing the requirement for them. B2BE, this is related to point-to-point encryption, and this is related to the solution which are responsible for encrypting the message end-to-end, have an end-to-end encryption for the message, to ensure that no one can interrupt the message. Those applied for the point of sale or the transaction, which if you are going to, or if you are familiar with DSS, we are talking here about requirement 4, that if you have a public network and public communication over internet, and all of this public communication contains a cardholder data, so you would have to apply a B2BE solution to encrypt the solution end to end from the once generated from ISP or the point of sale till receiving to the solution for issuing. The most commonly example here is point of sale. We have a many running point of sale here. Sorry for this. Those point of sale are already utilized using SIM card, and those SIM cards are provided a GPRS or APN network to facilitate connecting to the acquirer host. So the mandatory requirement here is to ensure that transaction triggered from the point of sale to receiving the acquirer host are being protected end to end. So you will, in this case, you would have to get or obtain the solution facilitated for point-to-point encryption end-to-end, like NAC solution or SSL offloader to facilitate encryption from point of sale till the receiving the host. Then you will have here the HSM, and this is the host security module, which managing all the encryption within the platform or within the banking industry. Whatsoever encryption applied or protection for PIN are applied using HSM. And the main purpose for HSM either for encryption and decryption and providing generating keys and have a sort of keys utilized within the HSM and ensuring that those keys are generated on randomized based. So if you are going to PCI Security Council and open the tab PCI PTS, you will have a list of approved HSM to facilitate obtaining a proper one. Talking about a PTS, this is related to the PIN transaction processing or whatsoever the entity or the device which accepting the PIN. So if you all the devices are passing through the PIN should be complied here for PCI PTS. So for EPP module which added or which utilized within the ATM, you will have the approved version within the PCI Security Council website, PCI Security Standard. If you are going to it and open the PCI BTS, you will have the available solution or approved solutions for EPP module like which can be utilized within ATM. For the point of sale, you will have hardware and software devices which approved from PCI Council. You will have an HSM and many other devices would be listed into the PTS section. I found here that we have a question from one about HSM. He asking about the HSM come under PIN 2 PIN or in ATM machine software. Yeah, you are right, Shikar, that you will within the HSM within the ATM itself, you have an EPP module which somehow have a small HSM within the ATM machine to facilitate the encryption and decryption process for the accepting for the PIN which you are added to ATM machine. So you are right that within the ATM you would have a small HSM devices, but it's not named by HSM. This is the EPP standard EPP module which facilitated a small HSM software to facilitate encrypting what you had received over ATM. As for remaining standard, you will have here secure SLC and secure software, and those are the newly replaced standard instead of PADSS. The PADSS is Payment Application DSS. Uh, those apply to a software vendor who providing a software or developing a code for about software and utilized over the environment for being hosted either issuer, acquirer, or service provider. So software vendors are previously were obligated to obtain a PADSS, but according to newly updates from BCI Council, that PADSS are being expected to being decommissioned, and the newly standard have to be mandated to be to have to being the service the software vendor to being certified upon it, which named by PCI SSF, Secure Software Framework. So this is the newly version of PADSS standard, which required from the software vendor to comply on it. And for TSP, it's related to the tokenization service provider who are going to being a part of ecosystem for tokenization. So here, within the table here, you have the available entity name within the banking industry and subjective BCI standard, which are obligated from. So if we are talking about merchants, they are applicable, they are have a PCI DSS applicable on them and PCI ASV. So for ASV, this is related to attestation software or scanning vendor. I know if you are all have a background related to information security and performing a vulnerability analysis within your environment, so you might using a Tenable or Qualys or software bring it within the Kali for perform the vulnerability scanning. So whenever you apply the vulnerability scanning, you need to attestate the vulnerability result by another party to ensure that you are performing the vulnerability analysis in accordance to approved vendor, approved methodology or approved policy. So you would have to go to obtain a PCI approved secure vendor like Tenable to facilitate attestating external vulnerability scans and ensuring that you already added the proper policy and have a proper result. Have an assessor advised about the vulnerability results, ensure that everything being protected well. So PCI ASV here, the most commonly example here related to Tenable or Qualys, which already listed over the PCI Security Council. If you are going to PCI ASV section, you will have a Tenable there. As for service provider, the main entry is DSS and ASV. For payment processor, you will they have to perform DSS, ASV, and 3D secure. For bank or issuer, all of this besides this PIN security. For acquirer, you have to you are obligated to perform a DSS and ASV or PIN. All the obligation is depending on the service scope provided by you. In some entities, they are operating either issuer or acquirer. So based on the running services already exist within the environment, you should obtain the relevant relevant security framework or security compliance based on the running service within the environment. So as I stated that DSS is the main entry point for enabling you to for being added into the industry, the banking industry. Then based on the services, you will receive another notification from scheme or from Security Council and or the QSA, which performing the assessment, have an advisory that you, after finishing the DSS, you will have, for example, applying a PIN security or 3D secure or what based on the facility itself or the running business. So this is the intro about, we are still in the intro about the PCI standard, the available standard. And are some comparison about BADSS and the difference and similarities between the two standard, the old one BADSS and versus PCI Secure Software Standard SS triple S. And are some differences between them and the similarities. For those who obtain the software which were listed as a BADSS, they are accepting to complete assessment using their software, but till the specific date advised by the council, those software should be updated to the newly standard and newly certification. So if you are going to check the difference between the BADSS and SS and the PCI SSF, BADSS is singular architecture. For SSS, it's a modular, developed mainly with traditional BOS system in mind. Here, the newly standard intended to support a wider array of software types and platform. It's for BADSS, it support the PCI DSS, but supported as well the DSS, but designed to completely independent node coupling. And this for BADSS, both software design and software development are addressed in the same standard. Here in the newly standard, address both software design and development, but in separate standard. BADSS is about perspective requirement. Here, it's the newly standards related to object-based requirement. BADSS have a limitation into scalability, but here for the new standard is designed for scalability and accepting the new trends into the technology. Here is a similarity between the BADSS and SSF. Both of them are intended to facilitate secure payments or application, address both secure application design and development, support an entity DSS compliance, but doesn't make an entity compliant because you are just receiving a software, hosted those software into the PCI environment, and the entity itself should have a PCI DSS for the hosted platform. So coming here, a question that why we are needing to being a certified, why PCI? Because PCI, as stated before, that's protecting the card information during storage and transmitting or processing, and any such impact to those data will have some reflection. The consequence of non-compliance is losing the ability to process card payment for your business. Non-compliance fines and increase on transaction fees, either from payment scheme or by local law. Data breach resulting in more stringent PCI reporting requirements. So because of those requirements, you need to be comply within the PCI. You don't need to hide any card information into your environment because the liability will be on you. You need to declare where the card number are being stored within or being processed or being transmitted within the environment to facilitate proper assurance that you wouldn't being subject to these consequences. So here we are going to take the PCI DSS as a sample standard to talk about and ensure the more understanding because PCI DSS are being a modernized technology and being the mainly entry point for any other standards. So we are going to go deep into PCI DSS, the payment card industry data security standard. So here you have PCI DSS requirements, which are grouped over 5 groups. Those requirements, about 12 requirements. Those 12 requirements are mainly categorized in five groups. The first one is related to build and maintain secure network, and those are related to two requirements. The other two requirements categorized as protection for cardholder data. Then next on, you will have two other requirements related to maintain a vulnerability management program. Three of these requirements related to implement a strong access control measure. Two of them related to regular monitor and test network. The last one related to maintain information security policy. So all of these requirements are going to protect and have a proper assurance that those card numbers are being protected either from internal or external fraud. So if you are going to read them very fast, I know that some of you already familiar with, but for anyone have any question about any requirement, we can go and dig deep into it and facilitate a more understanding about that. So the first one is related to firewall configuration to protect the cardholder data. The second requirement related to don't using a vendor default password or other security parameters. Don't leave a default secure parameter. Ensure that you are applying a hardening standard which related to your organization. Protecting a stored cardholder data during the storage, encryption for transmission, or have a proper encryption over the for transmitting cardholder data over public network. Maintain a vulnerability program by protecting all system against malware and regular update antivirus software or program. Develop and maintain secure system and applications. Implement a strong access measure by restricting access to cardholder data by business need to know. So here, the main requirement is related to RPAC. So RPAC here is, this is the mostly common security practice, is applying the list privilege and need to know mechanism when enabling an access to the environment. The RPAC is related to rule-based access matrix. You need to maintain it within the entity, identity, and authenticate access to the system component, restrict physical access to cardholder data. As for monitoring, it's related to track and monitor all access to network resources or cardholder data, regularly test security system and the processes by applying penetration test, maintain an information security policy and ensure that's updated and governed, and have all the work team trained over it. So those four DSS requirements. The output related to DSS, you will have an output either being a merchant or service provider on a specific level. For merchant level, level 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, this based on the number of transaction. And for service provider, you will either be a level 1 or level 2 based on the volume of transaction made by entity itself. So those are the compliance level for DSS. So talking about the benefit of PCI compliance, uh, we are not going to say that PCI is a regulatory burden. This is not true, because PCI is already actually enhanced business operation in several ways. Like if we are going to check the several ways for enhancing the business, the first one is enhancing security measures. Applying a BCI within the environment, like as indicated before for the requirements, it applied how the cardholder data or sensitive data being stored. This reduce uh, either by applying restriction mechanism, encryption control, security have a proper authentication before accessing those data, least applying least privilege, have an encryption over the data itself. So all of this measure applied by PCI, this reducing the risk of data breaches and enhance trust for the customer. And this is the most important one, that you are improving the reputation and the trust. If any customer are required to add to get to obtain a service from you, he will ask. He would the first point is asking about a PCI compliance, because the PCI compliance is demonstrating a commitment to security and customer protection. The customer ensures that his cardholder data would be stored in a proper way and secured way. So they will offer a expanded market reach, because you will have a customer base. The customer, if any one of those customer searched over the Visa registry or Mastercard registry and found you within this list, so you are by selecting you, he would ensure that the customer would ensure that you have a proper protection for and securing over this data, and you will have a market reach. Cost saving, this is the fourth element which you would gonna benefit from applying a PCI, is cost saving on long run, because applying these controls are going to protecting you from data breach, reducing the risk of data breach. You know that not applying all of these requirements wouldn't protect 100%, but you will have a 90 or 95% protection. If you applied all the controls within the BCI, you will have a proper protection from data breach. So for long run, you already maintained a good security posture for the environment, and the cost of recovery from security incident is being reduced. The other benefits is streamlined operation. This is the other benefits of applying BCI, because process and the procedure within the environment being matured enough and improved the efficiency. Because part of PCI requirements is ensuring that every change applied within the environment are properly documented and applied in accordance to proper procedure approved by management, which delegated by CISO within the environment. And finally, the most important benefit, you have a competitive advantage, because newly here into the financial industry, the first one asked about how you will protect the card number for me. So BCI are offering a business competitive edge over non-compliant competitor. Talking about the DSS and the newly updates related to version 4, version 4 itself, after releasing, have a business benefits, because it's focused on the flexibility and emphasize on risk management and have integration of emerging technologies, which considers Internet of Things and cloud computing. Those are newly technology wouldn't considered previously on the previous version of DSS. And there is enhanced authentication measures, which introduce a stricter requirement and introduce a multi-factor authentication, which ensures that proper authentication mechanism are in place. And also, it's improved validation processes, because the updated standard streamlined validation process for compliance makes it easier for business to assess their compliance status and demonstrate their adherence to DSS requirements. This simplification reduces the administration burden associated with compliance, allowing organizations to focus more on implementing effective security measures. Actually, being a version 4 certified for DSS, it's already introduced a proactive approach in risk management and offer more flexibility how you gonna address the risk. Because focusing on the risk and business can prioritize their efforts and resources more effectively, addressing the most critical security concerns first. So we are going to talk about the strategy, the proper strategy for implementing a PCI. If you are going to start implementing a PCI, you need to take those points into your consideration. You will first start with a comprehensive assessment. Those comprehensive assessment you need to consider all the environment, not to descope the environment, identify all the gaps and the possible opportunities for addressing this gap. Then you will then checking for the scope. After addressing the scope, you have to develop a compliance roadmap. Developing a compliance roadmap, you will have a list of finding using the complying with the newly DSS standard version 4. You will have a proactive risk assessment, which facilitated an entity to have a proper risk treatment or risk handling for entire risk within the environment. So those facilitate a compliance roadmap within the organization to facilitate a granular applying for the controls for PCI controls. Then next on, you should have established security policies and the procedure, which helping you to align with PCI DSS requirement and ensuring that all the requirements are being placed on the ground, and ensures that all employees are trained on these policies to understand their rules and responsibilities. Then next on, you will have to implement the security controls. This technical security controls which requested by PCI, like firewall or IDS or encryption protocol, configure those controls according to best practices and regular monitoring and update them to address emerging threats and vulnerabilities. Then you are going to applying a secure cardholder data. Securing cardholder data by implementing a proper measure at every stage of transaction process, including storage, transmission, and processing. Use a proper encryption technologies in according to best practice and or international standard to ensure that data are traced and in transit already, and the minimum storage of cardholder data to reduce the risk of exposure in the event of breach. Securing cardholder data, it means that you have to apply a proper encryption, either at rest at the volume level or at transit level during the transmission by using a proper SSL certificates or are having an end-to-end solution if you are going to public network or to transmitting those card number over public network. Then next on, you have a monitor and audit regularly. Establish a rapid monitoring and auditing process to continuously assessing the organization security posture and detect any potential vulnerabilities or non-compliance. Conduct regular internal and external audits. And part of monitoring as well, it's mandated to have a proper SOC team to have a security monitoring over the operation and ensure that you are up to date to any potential vulnerability within your organization. So you need to ensure that all of logs are being collected using a centralized mechanism, using SIEM, and operating by proper SOC team utilized within the entity. Maintaining a documentation and record. This is the next strategy you need to maintain, including policies, audit logs, and security incident reports. Those documentation demonstrate how the entity being complied to the requirement and stay updated and adapt. Stay informed about the changes DSS and evolving security states and best practice. Continuously assess and update your compliance program to adhere new challenges and ensure that security measures remain effective over the time. Here are a small checklist for summarizing all the PCI requirements into them. These are checklists helping you into implementing a PCI within your organization, PCI DSS. The first one, by implementing and maintain firewall. Don't use a default security setting. Whenever having an operating system or having a software, you should just change at least the password and default parameter within the system and ensure that service is already running in hardened way, not allowing unsecured traffic. Have a protection protecting the card for cardholder data while it's stored on your network. Encrypt payment data to protect it while in transit. Protect your system against malware and antivirus and viruses. Ensure that you have a proper antivirus mechanism applied and utilized within your environment. Develop and maintain secure system and application. Ensure that development, if you have an in-house developed within your organization, are obligated or compliant to requirement 6, which related to the development, and ensures that securely configured. Restrict access to cardholder data. Assign unique login details to every user. Sharing account or having a sharing mechanism within the environment is not a good practice for security. From security perspective, you need to ensure that everyone have a unique login to ensure accountability about their actions and facilitate an investigation whenever it's required. Limit people who have physical access to cardholder data. Track and monitor access to network and cardholder data. Regular test using your security systems and the processes. And these regular tests are, whenever we're talking about regular test, there are quarterly vulnerability assessment should be maintained. In some environments, they are maintaining a monthly vulnerability assessment if they didn't have a patch management solution to ensure that all their assets are being protected towards the newly discovered vulnerabilities. Create and maintain an information security policy. So this is the end of my presentation. For anyone have any inquiry, I would happy to answering. Any question from anyone, please leave a message now or after the session. If you didn't have a proper time now, you can send me an email. This is my personal email. So I'm free for any question. I think will have 10 minutes time for any question to being received from you through this webinar. So I will leave for you for adding any question to the webinar room. Thank you, Nis, for this. Appreciate it, Chikar. Your contribution is very welcome. Thanks, Simon, for this for being appreciated. Appreciated joining with us. Okay, no question so far. So I would happy to receive anyone question over my email. This would be pleasure to receive this those question, and hopefully that I added any information to you. Thanks for the audience, and thanks for iExpert for hosting me for into this productive session. Looking forward to see you again. Thanks, Professor Ahmed, for hosting me and all the team of iExpert. Thank you all. It's a pleasure connecting with you all. Thanks all. Bye bye.